But I want to save some time for this team. And this team, selfishly, is good for Fox. So the AFC's got more star quarterbacks, and star quarterbacks are good for ratings. Chicago has never had really a truly star quarterback. And there is a belief they finally have one. And I actually looked at the Bears' schedule. And look at what they did. It's a lot like Houston last year with C.J. Stroud. They get no elite defenses from last year until November 17th. They got no elite defense. Tennessee, Indy, Rams is young. Carolina, Jacksonville, Washington, Arizona, New England. They don't face a top 10 defense from last year until November 17th. Caleb Williams isn't opening with the Niners or the Chiefs or the Ravens. Nope. It's a lot of average defenses. He also, Caleb in Chicago, get a lot of 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern, a lot of early window games. They're only on prime time 3 times. 2 of those are week 15 and week 17. Not under the microscope, not big pressurized games. Nope. Couple of prime timers late, 1 in week 2. They also get to open a quarterback advantage. Will Levis, rebuilt staff. That's the opener. Tennessee's the opener. That's a good opener, right? Rebuilding their receiving core. Brand new coaching staff. Rebuilding a roster. One of the weaker rosters in the NFL. So you get no elite defenses early. Tennessee to open. No really heavy microscope games of note. Week 2, you're on national TV, but, it is Chicago. Here's the other thing. Look at the quarterbacks all through this. Drake May, Jalen Daniels, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, J.J. McCarthy, week 12. So the Minnesota week 12 game, you could put that as the opener, and you're going to get a Sam Darnold. If they go sideways, they'll be playing J.J. McCarthy week 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They also don't give the Bears any of those like nitty-gritty divisional games. Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay, those intense rivalry games that feel different than average games. They don't get any of those. Caleb Williams doesn't get any of those until week 11. So I thought, this reminds me a lot of Houston last year. Remember C.J. Stroud? They open up with the Ravens. Whoa! The Bears week 2 get a national TV game, right? Big game. Exclusive game. And then if you go back to that Houston schedule, they built confidence and momentum off, Desmond Ridder in Atlanta, Colts, Saints, Bucks, Steelers with Kenny Pickett. All of a sudden, this young team with a rookie quarterback and a young coach, you're not sure D'Amico Ryans. I'm not sure if they're good, but they're playing like they're good. I'm not sure if they're good, but they certainly believe they're good because they're beating pretty average and below average teams. So I thought Chicago, and it's good for our business. I love Chicago. I mean, they're not facing any of those big divisional games, not a lot of microscope games. It's a lot of 10 a.m. windows. You open with Tennessee. It's no elite defenses early. You look at that schedule, you could have faced opening week San Francisco, a Green Bay at Lambeau early, Detroit a couple of times. They don't face Detroit until Thanksgiving. Caleb Williams going to have all these starts before he faces the best, most talented roster in his division, Detroit. I thought the Bears got a little bit of a break. It was as if the NFL said, it'd be nice if we could have one of our major markets for our broadcasting partner since New York's in the toilet. The New York Giants are in the toilet. It'd be nice if we could, make Chicago something. I mean, we have the L.A. Rams, but L.A. is more of a basketball, baseball market half the time. It'd be nice if Chicago, I don't know if Chicago's going to be good, but that's a groove schedule. That's the opposite of the Steelers. That is.
Okay, so let's talk about this. I've reacted to this video, broke this video clip down before, and I think there's some confusion with it, so I wanted to do it again. Because a lot of people were mad and saying that Colin, because, again, in essence, this is what Colin is saying. Colin is saying that he thinks that the NFL wants Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears to be successful, specifically for ratings and money and all of that stuff. And that they gifted Caleb Williams and the Bears an easy schedule, a schedule to get them situated and comfortable, and so then they can be good. They can build momentum and confidence when it's time to finally face the more difficult teams like Green Bay, the Vikings, the divisional games like Detroit and whatnot, 49ers. And people were saying, like, I made the video and people in the comment section were ripping Colin apart. Now, I want to go over this a few different ways. One, I want to point out that I don't think Colin is anti this, right? If we say that that is true, that the NFL was doing that, which I'm not saying it was, but let's say the NFL did do this on purpose. Colin I don't think is anti that. He's all for it. He seems to be totally on board with schedule manipulation from the NFL, saying it's an entertainment company and that, they want certain teams to do well, and hey, that's okay, that's the business. Now, one, if that's true, that's insane and not right. You can't give easier schedules to other teams because you want them to succeed, and again, if other people in the YouTube comments or Reddit or wherever brought that up, people like Colin would say, take off your tinfoil hat. You're crazy. The NFL is not out to get your team. And it's like, well, you're pretty much saying that they are. So which is it? That's not fair. So that's number one. Number two, the Chicago Bears were not good last season in terms of where their placement was, where they were in terms of the rankings. So they're going to get an easier schedule. They're not going to get a first place, second place, third place, fourth place schedule. So that's, so obviously their schedule is going to be a little bit nicer. Now, also this idea though, that this schedule is inherently easy or easier, I disagree. I don't know if you want all of these games in this gauntlet near the end. I mean, we're acting like going to Green Bay, not going to, but just playing Green Bay, playing Minnesota, Detroit Lions, okay? Those three games are going to be brutal. Minnesota, especially because it's just a divisional game, and we don't know who's going to be quarterback at that time, but it should still be a tough game. And then you got San Francisco 49ers, and they're now going to be at the heart of their schedule. The 49ers will most likely be competing for the number one seed, a division. Like, they're going to be competitive outside of injuries, so that's going to be a brutal game. That's going to be a game that San Francisco 49ers really want to win. Then you got Minnesota again, and then you got the Detroit Lions, and then a lot of people still think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to be a great defense again. And then you got the Packers. Like, that is brutal. That is game. I don't care how much. Even if we said that the first 9-10 weeks were the easiest weeks in the world, in the history of the NFL, for whatever reason, all those teams just collapsed, and they are awful, and there are guaranteed wins, and there are glorified practices where everyone just gets to get comfortable and build up confidence. Let's just say that that's true, which is obviously not. That second half of that schedule is brutal. Absolutely brutal. And most likely by the time you're there, your own team's going to be a little banged up. I mean, like, there's a good chance that Caleb Williams is a little beat up, right? He's a little sore than he would be earlier in the weeks. And you have your lineman, whoever, it doesn't matter, right? You're not going to be fully healthy in week 12, week 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is going to be brutal. You are going to be exhausted. They talked about this, whether it was the Cowboys last season, the Eagles, even the 49ers. Like, it is a gauntlet. When you go through that many tough of games in a row, no matter, it's not a matter of will. Your mind can say, okay, I got to wake up. I got to go. Hey, we got the 49ers this week. I know we just had a ruthless game against the Cowboys, but we got this. Let's go. Your body's unwilling. You can only force your body to do so much, right? Think of it like sleeping. Just don't sleep. Is it that easy just to will yourself to not sleep? You can get by a day or so maybe, but after that, it's like physically impossible. You can't just will yourself to run 40 miles. Just do it. Go ahead, just do it. Your mind, you're very dedicated. If I said you had to run 40 miles in 5 hours, and I'm going to give you $1 billion, just do it. You can't just will yourself to do it. So a schedule like that is not going to be easy. So even if they build up this great confidence in the first 9-10 weeks or so, any confidence that you build up, if that is as grueling, and let's say this team isn't that good, which I'm not saying Chicago isn't good, I'm just saying, because Colin's trying to imply that they're trying to make this team into something that it potentially may not be, you're going to lose all your confidence. The moment the Eagles were somewhat confident, and I thought wrongfully so. I shouldn't say that they were confident because they knew inherently that they had problems, but they were still kind of like, okay, we got this, we're moving forward. And then they, lost to the Cowboys, the 49ers, and then it just started to snowball. That's the same thing that what it could theoretically happen with the Bears if they are indeed actually not that good. So that's just the one side. So I disagree with this schedule being easier constructed in a way that then helps the Chicago Bears or makes them feel better. Because that's what Colin was saying about the Texans. We're like, well, we don't really know how good they are because they're playing bad teams and this and that. And it's like, I think the Texans prove to actually be a good team. And I think the Chicago Bears will prove to be a good team. I think the Bears can't think of his name right now, Caleb Williams, they're going to have growing pains. There's going to be games where Caleb looks awful or moments where he looks awful. And then he's going to have other moments where he looks spectacular. Because Colin also pointed out, well, they only have 3 primetime games. How many primetime games do you want them to have? Like, what are we talking about here? I think Aaron Rodgers and the Jets have 6, and people are talking about that. That's insane because it's like never been that high ever, and it's insane and it's crazy. So like, well, how many games do you want Caleb Williams to have? So 3 feels about right. And again, make no mistake about it, going up against the Texans is going to be a difficult game. The Rams could be a difficult game. The Jaguars could be a difficult game. So this isn't a walk in the park here. You have tough games, and then you have a really brutal, tough schedule in the second half. I feel like if the NFL was really trying to help them out, you would maybe not even have them face the 49ers. You'd maybe put a Minnesota in like week 5 or the Detroit in week 5, week 6 or something. Like you would break this up a little bit and give some breathing room. But that's not at all what they're having right now. Or even pushing the bye week a little bit later. Maybe in that middle of that gauntlet of all those teams, right? You play the Packers and then the Lions and then a bye, like something, anything but what's going on right there. So I reject this notion that this schedule is inherently easy or setting up the Bears for like an easy path to success or like a misleading path of success. I think because also if you build confidence off of a false sense of reality, well, the moment you actually face reality, you get crushed. If you believe you can fly because you're in like a wind tunnel, and so like you're just flying in the air because of the wind tunnel, and you're like, wow, I can fly, this is amazing. Well, the moment you step off a building and try to fly, pretty sure it doesn't work out for you. So I really disagree with a lot with what Colin is saying. But with that said, what made me want to redo this video was because I do think people believe that Colin is anti this or anti-Chicago Bears, and I do not think he is. I think the Chicago Bears have the potential to have a great season. I think they will win a lot of games. I think they're going to win some tough games and some hard games. And I'm sure they'll drop some easy games. Again, like every NFL team, like every quarterback, whether it's Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, whoever, every great quarterback and team will win some great games, lose some great games, win some bad against bad teams, and lose against some bad teams. Yeah, it's football. It's sports. It's just the way it goes. So trying to predict what a schedule will look like is impossible. It wouldn't surprise me if they lose to Tennessee, but then blow out the Texans like that. Again, those things happen all the time in the NFL. It's just what happens. No one thought that the Cowboys were going to be embarrassed by the Arizona Cardinals. No one saw that. And at that time, I think it was the backup quarterback, right? It wasn't even Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray wasn't even back yet. So no one thought that the Chiefs were going to lose to the Raiders. You just have no idea. Or the Broncos, for that matter. After the Broncos got demolished by the Miami Dolphins. So you just have no idea. But I think this schedule is a fun schedule. I think if you're a Chicago Bears fan, I think you have to be a little bit concerned at that second half of that schedule because I see that's a gauntlet. That's brutal. That really is. To act like, well, they just wanted them to get comfortable and then we're going to throw them in the fire. I would rather have those games separated a little bit. And you could easily not face the 49ers. You could easily face, I don't know, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants. Like, I mean, if you were really trying to make things easier, then you could not have to face the reigning NFC champions, you know, in the middle of this gauntlet of facing all these divisional rivals. Like, come on. So I don't think the NFL necessarily did any favors for the Chicago Bears, but I think the Chicago Bears will prove to be resilient. I think Caleb Williams will prove to be pretty resilient. I think they'll definitely have some amazing highs, a handful of lows, and I think the Chicago Bears have a true chance at making the playoffs. But make no mistake about it, it's going to be tough. This division, I'm really high on this division. I think the Packers are great. I think the Detroit Lions are great. I think the Chicago Bears are obviously going to be great. And Minnesota, once they get settled with their quarterback situation, they're going to be great. I really believe in the culture and what they're building. I think all 4 teams are just, they're building great cultures, or they already have established great cultures. The quarterbacks are all good to great or up and coming. They're ready to go. I mean, this division is going to be ruthless for years to come. And honestly, if you're a Bears fan or a Lions fan or whatever fan, you should be happy about this. Like, you should not want your division to be trash. Like, I know it can help you win and succeed. Take it from someone who watches, Eagles games and Cowboys games and is more in touch with that division. It's not fun when the Giants and the Commanders are garbage. It's really not. I mean, it's just like, I'd rather than be competitive. You want someone to root against. You want a good team to root against. Like, I like the Cowboys and the Eagles because they're always competitive. If the Eagles always just beat up the Cowboys, that's no fun. Or if the Cowboys just always beat up the Eagles, that's no fun. You want this back and forth. You want one team to win a game, a close game, and then the next game, it's a blowout maybe, or another close game. But in the opposite direction, it's just more fun. It's more competitive. So I think I'm really, really excited for this division. I think it's just going to give us such awesome matchups with such iconic franchises. The Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings. This is becoming my favorite division without a doubt, and so I'm excited to see what the future will bring, but I think the Chicago Bears are definitely in a great position. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you agree with Colin that the NFL has made a schedule to help the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams? And if so, do you think it's okay that they did that? And if not, what do you think's going on? Do you think the Bears can make some moves this season and make a legitimate playoff run like the Houston Texans? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.